Everyone, and I'd like to open the special budget meeting at 9:01 and thank you all for your attendance. We have no apologies, everybody's in the room today. So with that, we'll get started on 3.1, adoption of the corporate plan. Do I have a mover? Councillor Davis.
I move that Council adopts the corporate plan 2026 to 2036.
Seconded by Councillor Brumpton. Would you like to speak, Councillor?
Thank you. I support the adoption of the new corporate plan. This is one of the most important documents we consider as a council. It is more than a legislative requirement. It's our roadmap for the future. It sets our direction, guides our decision making, and tells our communities what we are working to achieve. The corporate plan reflects the aspirations, strengths, and needs of our region. It brings together the priorities of our communities, the experience of our staff, and the strategic vision of councillors to create a shared direction for the Maranoa. More in the Maranoa. Strong in who we are, ambitious about where we are going. This is us, our region, and our future. As councillors, we're responsible not only for today, but for future generations, and that is why this plan matters. It helps us stay focused on the long term while continuing to deliver the services, infrastructure and facilities our communities rely on every day. I particularly support the emphasis on strong and connected communities, critical infrastructure, economic growth and financial sustainability. These are the priorities that matter to our residents and businesses, and they are essential to the future of the Maranoa. They speak to a region that is confident in its identity, clear in its purpose and ambitious about what comes next. Just as importantly, the plan provides a strong framework for accountability. It gives council clear objectives against which our progress can be measured and reported through the operational plan and quarterly reports. I would like to acknowledge everyone that contributed to the development of this plan, including community members, councillors and council staff. Their input has helped shape the document that reflects both the aspirations and the realities of our region. For these reasons, I'm proud to support the recommendation to adopt the corporate plan for council as a clear and confident guide for our future.
Thank you, Councillor. Would anyone like to speak against? Would anybody else like to speak? Councillor Hancock.
Thank you. I'm pleased to support the adoption of the Maranoa Regional Council Corporate Plan 2026 to 2036. This plan provides a clear and confident direction for our region over the next decade. It is a future-focused plan that embraces opportunity and growth while continuing to respect and build upon the strong foundations that our region is known for. At its heart is a simple but powerful vision, more in the Maranoa, strong in who we are, ambitious about where we are going. I believe this vision perfectly captures the spirit of our region. We are proud of our heritage and our communities, our industries and our people. At the same time, we are ambitious about creating new opportunities, strengthening our economy, improving our services and ensuring the Maranoa remains a great place to live, work, invest and raise a family. This corporate plan is underpinned by values that reflect the expectations of our community and the culture we aspire to as an organisation. Service excellence, connected community, integrity, accountability and authenticity are not simply words on a page. They are the principles that guide our decision-making, shape our interactions with the community and influence how we deliver our services every day. The 5 strategic priorities identified within this plan provide a strong framework for the future. Leadership and service delivery, strong communities, economic strength and opportunity, quality infrastructure and facilities, and natural assets and regional values. These priorities recognise the diverse needs of our region and provide a balanced approach to ensuring Council continues to deliver for our communities over the next 10 years. Importantly, this plan is much more than the next budget cycle or the next term of Council. It is about creating a legacy and setting our communities up for future generations. It provides a roadmap that will help guide decision-making, investment and service delivery well into the future. What gives me confidence in this plan is that it will simply not sit on a shelf gathering dust. This corporate plan will be embedded into Council's day-to-day operations. It will guide our annual operation plans, inform our budgets, shape our projects and help us measure our performance and success. It will become a living document that influences how we work, how we prioritise resources and how we deliver outcomes for our residents. I would like to acknowledge the staff and the community involved in the development of this plan. Considerable effort has gone into ensuring it reflects both the aspirations of our community and the practical realities of delivering services across a large and diverse region. I believe this corporate plan provides a strong vision, clear priorities, and a solid foundation for the future. It positions the Maranoa to remain strong in who we are, while being ambitious about where we are going. I'm proud to support the Maranoa Regional Council Corporate Plan 2026 to 2036.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Vincent.
I speak in favour of this corporate plan today as someone that may have been a squeaky wheel in the previous term with the previous corporate plan. I believe this document today is a high-level strategic document with a 10-year aspirational vision. I want to thank the 280 people who provided feedback into what they wanted for the Maranoa and what they wanted it to look like, and acknowledge the 70 students who also made submissions. We are more in the Maranoa. We are strong in who we are and ambitious about where we are going. We value connected communities, integrity, service excellence, accountability and authenticity. We are focused on leadership and service delivery, strong communities, economic growth and opportunity. We want quality infrastructure and facilities and to support our natural assets and regional values. If adopted today, I look forward to delivering on these aspirations for our community. Thank you to Up North for their professional guidance on this document, along with the executive leadership team who work with us to bring this document to life.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak? Councillor Brompton.
Thanks. I won't repeat the vision and values because I think the other councillors have very clearly articulated that, but I wanted to say that I think this corporate plan is very indicative of this council's vision and values and where our current community's aspirations are, because we have linked in with community and students, and I think this is very indicative of what we've all been standing for as council and where we want to go. So for that reason, I'm very supportive of this plan.
Anyone else like to speak? Councillor O'Neill.
Thanks, Mayor. I concur with everything my colleagues have said. For me, this is a really strong plan that does set the region up for the future. It will see the rest of this term and another 2.5 terms in front of it to guide our region and gets away from the election cycles of local government. It's incredibly unusual that we're adopting a corporate plan the same day we're adopting a budget, and I want to acknowledge the staff and the commitment that they've put into to get both of these things to the table today, because it will be the guiding document that, as I said, takes us through for the rest of this term and into the future. The buy-in on this document from my colleagues around the table was really impressive. I felt we were back in the development of a corporate plan where it was owned by the decision makers that the community have put in this term. And I think that centres on the individuals that sit around this table, but it also, I've got to say, falls on the engagement that we had with the consultants. And I know I had personal reservations around the structure of how we were engaging, but it worked. It worked internally and it worked externally to have 280 submissions and a large portion of them coming from the next generation of Maranoa community, I think speaks volumes in terms of the engagement and how this plan does put solid platforms in place for us to deliver, and we can deliver. I think this is an actionable corporate plan. And we've seen that already with what we'll adopt next, which is the operational plan falling out of the corporate plan. So I'm really impressed by this. I think it's a very clear, concise document that anyone in our community picks up. They would understand the vision of council and where we want to take our region for the next 10 years. So again, thank you to my colleagues and thanks to the team internally and of course externally who have put this together and allowed us to consider it today for adoption.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak? Councillor Beck?
Sorry, Mayor. I think it's all been covered, but I'd just like to also thank the staff. Very thorough process, and Up North were very professional and engaging. You couldn't have picked a better people to have a conversation with. It was just so easy to get the information. Also, having the key community members that contributed to this document also made it they had that buy-in and they have some ownership on that moving forward. So 10 years is a long time, but I just think also to thank fellow councillors, but the staff especially, like they went above and beyond. So no, take my hat off to you guys.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak? Okay, would you like to sum up, councillor?
I think it's all been said.
It has all been said, and thank you all for saying it. You've done a really great job. So on that note, we'll go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. 3.2, adoption of the 2026-27 operational plan. Do I have a mover? Councillor Hancock.
I move that pursuant to section 104(5)(a)(v) of the Local Government Act 2009 and section 174 and 175 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, Council adopt the operational plan for 2026-27 as presented.
Have a seconder? Councillor Davis. Would you like to speak, councillor?
Thanks, Mayor. I'm pleased to support the adoption of the 26-27 operational plan. This year's operational plan represents an achievable and practical roadmap for the next financial year. It outlines the key priorities and projects that Council will focus on over the next 12 months, in addition to many business-as-usual activities that our staff undertake every day to deliver services to our communities. The operational plan is an important document because it turns our strategic vision into action. It identifies the projects, initiatives and outcomes that will help deliver on the priorities set out in our corporate plan and ensure we continue to move our region forward. There is certainly a substantial cross-section of projects across all areas of Council, reflecting the diverse needs of our communities and the broad range of services that Council provides. While every project included in this plan is important, I would like to highlight several initiatives that sit within my portfolio area. One of these is the update of our community and local area plans. These plans play an important role in ensuring the aspirations, priorities and needs of our individual communities are understood and reflected in Council's decision making. They provide an opportunity for local voices to help shape the future of their communities. I'm also pleased to see the development of the Maranoa Regional Housing Strategy included in this operational plan. Housing continues to be one of the most significant challenges facing regional communities across Australia, and the Maranoa is no exception. Developing a clear strategy will help identify opportunities, challenges and practical solutions to support housing growth and availability across our region. Another important initiative is the Community Organisation Capacity Building Program. Our community groups, clubs and organisations are the backbone of many of our towns and districts. Supporting these organisations to build their capability, strengthen governance and improve sustainability will help ensure they continue to thrive and deliver valuable services and activities for our residents. Volunteers are also critical to the success of our communities, and I'm pleased to see the development of a volunteer strategy included within this year's plan. This strategy will help support local service delivery, strengthen community wellbeing and recognise the important contribution that volunteers make across the Maranoa. From an economic development perspective, we will see the completion of the Economic Development Strategy and Investment Prospectus, providing a clear framework to promote the Maranoa's strength and opportunities to potential investors, businesses and industry. I'm also pleased to see a continued focus on strengthening regional event support and promotion. Events play an important role in bringing communities together, attracting visitors, supporting local businesses and showcasing everything that makes Maranoa such a great place to live and visit. Collectively, these projects will help build stronger communities, support economic growth, attract investment and improve opportunities for residents across our region. I would like to thank the CEO, executive leadership team and all staff involved in preparing this operational plan. The work that has gone into this identifying priorities, setting realistic timeframes and aligning projects with Council's strategic direction is greatly appreciated. I believe this is a well-balanced and achievable operational plan that will deliver meaningful outcomes to our community over the next financial year, and I look forward to seeing these projects progress and come to fruition. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor. Anyone like to speak against? Anyone else like to speak? Councillor Brompton.
Just following on from Councillor Hancock, I won't talk in specifics about a number of the things in the operational plan, but there's some really big ticket items and Councillor Hancock has covered a lot of those. In my portfolio, I'm very pleased to see the Parks and Gardens standards being implemented. We've had a lot of talk with the community around Parks and Gardens, so it's nice to see that next step happening around that. And the Cemetery Master Plan, they're two things that are very important to our community. In my finance and risk portfolio, we are continuing to strengthen our financial sustainability and responsibility, and I'm pleased that we've got a number of actions in there that continue to enhance how we report, how we know where we are with our finances and how we can move forward with that. So very happy to see those in the plan.
Anyone else like to speak? Councillor Davis.
Thank you. I think the word for today is ambitious. I think this is a really ambitious and wide-reaching plan that sets a clear direction for the year ahead. It touches every part of our region's day-to-day delivery, from tourism and housing to support for local business and volunteers, from waste management to the maintenance of our parks, gardens, roads network. This is the first operational plan to be developed under our new corporate plan, following a significant period of deep review, consultation and refinement. A great deal of work has gone into ensuring that the corporate plan is not just a high-level document, but one that genuinely reflects the aspirations of both elected members, staff and community. This operational plan is the first test of that alignment, and it demonstrates that the intent of the corporate plan has been effectively translated into practical, deliverable actions. What stands out is not just the scope of this plan, but the intent. It reflects a council that is focused on getting the fundamentals right, while also planning for long-term growth and livability across the Maranoa. It provides clarity for staff, certainty for the community, and a framework that allows council to measure progress over the next 12 months. And that accountability matters. For these reasons, I'm happy to support the adoption of the operational plan.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak? Councillor O'Neill.
Thanks, Mayor. I too am going to support the adoption of the operational plan. Again, thanks to my colleagues. I won't rehash the comments that you've made, but again, I concur with them. This here sets our region up, at least for the next 12 months, in terms of what we are committing to doing. But I think it's a very clear document for our staff. And it illustrates our expectations as a council, as the decision makers in this room on behalf of our community, of what we want to see achieved in the next 12 months. And the buy-in from around this room, again, is at the highest level. I felt that this was a year in which we had a lot of workshops and a lot of briefings, but briefings and workshops that were required to get us to the point where we are today to adopt not only the operational plan, but the budget itself, which we'll do in a moment. But it's to the level in which we have robustly workshopped and debated where we want to see things achieved in this 12 months. And it means we are putting pressure on our staff to deliver. Because I know that they want to achieve as much as we want to achieve, because this is their home as well. And so I'm really excited by this. I think it is ambitious. I think it's achievable. And I look forward to working as the collective team of Maranoa Regional Council to achieve it in this coming 12 months.
Thank you, Councillor. Anyone else like to speak? Councillor Vincent.
Quickly, I support this plan today. Last year's operational plan was very much focused on updating our region plans and strategies for our major focus areas within our community. This year it's all about implementing our action plans in the areas of visitor economy, library, sport and recreation and arts and culture. We also continue a very strong focus on housing, roads, youth, economic development and biosecurity. With the adoption of the operational plan, it gives the CEO and staff direction in areas that we and the staff members feel needs more strategic outcomes. I look forward to working with my portfolio holders in seeing actions being completed, but I also look forward to working with our communities on a refresh of the community plans, seeing the youth program initiatives reactivated back in the towns of Injune, Wallumbilla and Yulbar, and our volunteer roundtable in the first quarter to allow us as council and our volunteers to come up with some strategies to assist with retaining volunteers in our community. thank you to the staff who will implement all these projects and initiatives. I look forward to seeing them all come to fruition.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak? Councillor Burkett.
Yeah, like before, I think everything's been touched on. I just part of my portfolios, I think the comprehensive side audits across the water, sewage, and gas assets with SCADA's got a big one for me. Obviously, the youth council, the introduction of that will be really awesome for across the whole region, and buy-in from all the students from the different little areas as well, getting a bit of input in the big city, and also like things like the regional pool strategy. I think that's a must. To get us all on the same page, but definitely the volunteer strategy, I think that's really important for our community moving forward. Once again, I'd like to thank fellow councillors, but especially the staff. You're probably the most patient people I've ever met. I don't know how you've put up with, not so much from me, but a lot of questions around me. It seems to be 100 questions a day, but you
Point
guys...
of order in a minute.
You guys answer them promptly, and if you can't, you take it on notice and come straight back to us. So I applaud you for that. So I'll be fully supportive of this.
Well, thank you. Anybody else like to speak? Who moved it? Councillor Hancock, did you want to sum up?
Thank you.
Oh, good. Okay, let's go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. All right, 3.3. Adoption of the 2026-27 revenue statement and revenue policy. Councillor Brumpton.
I move that pursuant to section 193 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, Council adopt the 2026-27 revenue policy as contained in attachment 1. 2, pursuant to section 1045 of the Local Government Act 2009 and 172 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, Council adopts the revenue statement 2026-27 as contained in attachment 2.
Thank you. Seconder, Councillor Seawright. Would you like to speak, Councillor?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. These two documents are the basis of where our budget's been built from. I'm sure when the budget paper is actually adopted, there'll be more discussion around this, but I suppose I want to point out that this sets the rates and the other fees and charges. And the rates, the residential rates have seen a rise of 3.5%, commercial 5%, rural 3.5%, and commercial and other 10%, which is what council had said that they wanted to get to a more reasonable rate increase this year than the previous years. And our fees and charges have increased approximately 3.2% across the board. That's for water, sewage, waste, etc. I think I'll leave the discussion around that. I'm sure there'll be more through the budget paper itself, but this is the basis of how we've built our income from the budget.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak? Oh, well, that was easy. Okay. On that note, we'll go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. 3.4, adoption of the 2026-27 budget. Do I have a mover? Councillor O'Neill.
I move that 1, pursuant to sections 169, 170 and 171 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, adopt the budget. That should read that Council, sorry, Kel, 1, pursuant to sections 169, 170 and 171 of the Local Government Regulation, adopt the budget for 2026-27 financial year as per attachment 1, incorporating the statement of income and expenditure, the statement of financial position, the statement of cash flow, the statement of changes in equity, the long-term financial plan, the measures of financial sustainability, the revenue statement, the revenue policy, an assessment of significant and commercial business activities, the total value of the change in the rates and utility charges levied for the prior financial year compared with the rates and utility charges levied in the 2026-27 budget, expressed as percentages, is a 5.82% change. The statement of capital works and project works program. 2, pursuant to section 205 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, note the statement of estimated financial position for the previous financial year as included within the budget for the 2026-27 financial year as per attachment 1.
Thank you. Seconder, Councillor Brumpton. I'm going to speak first if that's okay.
That's fine.
Otherwise, you'll all say everything I wanted to say. So and you still can. That's okay. So I would like to speak first if you just don't mind. Today, Council considers the adoption of the 2026-27 budget. For some, a budget may simply look like numbers on a page, revenue, expenses, capital works, rates and forecasts. But for me, this budget means much more than that. It represents the hard work, discipline and determination look like. It represents the journey we set out from the start of this term, a journey built on responsible decisions, long-term thinking and a commitment to making sure the Maranoa remains strong, sustainable and well-positioned for the future. As I've done with the previous two budgets, I want to provide an overview of some of the key points that have shaped this budget and explain why these decisions matter. Each council term has a responsibility of adopting 4 annual budgets. This is the third budget of the current council term, and in many ways, it's an important point in the journey we started together in 2024. When I was elected as mayor, we heard clearly the residents wanted 2 things from us. The first was open and honest communication. The second was a council that was prepared to take responsibility for restoring our long-term financial position. Over the past 2 years, I recognise that we have made some difficult decisions as a council. In 2025-26, council adopted an operating deficit of $1.561 million. We said at the time that no council wants to adopt a deficit budget. However, at the time, those budgets were necessary as we worked together through the financial position of the organisation and developed a strategy to bring council back to a sustainable footing. This year, I am pleased to say that council's 2026-27 budget is forecast to deliver an operating surplus of $616,000. This is an important achievement. In simple terms, running a council is not dissimilar to running a business, a farm or a household. While there are many complexities in local government, the basic principle is the same. You cannot continue to spend more than you earn year after year and expect that to be sustainable. Deficits place pressure on cash reserves. Over time, if they're not addressed, they reduce council's ability to maintain services, invest in infrastructure, respond to emergencies, and plan confidently for the future. What is also important is that this has been achieved while council continued to provide the services our community rely on. Council continued to maintain our road network, parks and gardens, libraries, pools, water and sewage infrastructure, community facilities and many other services that are part of the everyday life across the Maranoa. We have continued to meet our borrowing repayments and last year delivered one of the largest capital works programs in council's history. This has not happened by accident. It has required careful planning, discipline and a willingness to look closely at both sides of council's ledger, what we receive and what we spend. Now, I recognise there are a lot of discussions at the moment about the costs continuing to rise. Residents, families, farmers and local businesses are all feeling this. Whether it is the cost of groceries, the cost of fuel or the cost of insurance, everything seems to be going up. The cost of delivering council services and infrastructure also continues to increase, particularly in areas such as diesel, bitumen products, construction materials, plants, labour and insurance. These are the real costs that council has to manage every day. That is why one of the things I am most proud of in this budget is that council has not simply tried to pass these increasing costs on by increasing rates. Instead, we have worked hard to maintain expenditure at levels broadly similar to the 25-26 budget, while still continuing to deliver services and progress important projects. Now to the important matter of rates. The draft budget proposes a 3.5% increase for residential and rural ratepayers, and a 5% increase for commercial and industrial, and a 10% for the energy sector. Early this term, we said that council needed to develop a strategy to correct its finances, not only for the short term, but for the future. There have been a couple of tough years that we have worked through the plan. However, these decisions have helped place council in a position where we can adopt a rating model this year that sees residential and rural rates increase by less than CPI. At the time when the cost of living continues to put pressure on households, I believe this is an extremely important outcome for our community. Restoring council's financial position is not about one budget or one decision. It's about setting a direction and staying the course. The decision made over the last 2 years have helped move council away from relying on deficits and cash reserves to fund normal operations and towards a position where we are living within our means. That matters for every community across the Maranoa. In closing, I know budgets and rates are not easy topics. I understand that any increase in costs is felt by residents and businesses, but this budget shows that the strategy we put in place is working. As Mayor, I am proud of the progress Council has made. I am proud that this budget returns Council to a forecast surplus. I am proud that this budget continues to deliver the service our communities rely on. I am proud that this budget keeps the residential and rural rates increases below CPI. And I am proud that this budget represents responsible decision-making focused on long-term future of the Maranoa. I commend the 2026-27 budget to Council. I'd also like to acknowledge and thank our CEO Rob, Deputy CEO Cam, Directors Brent, Seamus and Jamie, and their teams for all the hours they have done, not only with the budget, but the corporate plan, the operational plan, and the reports that go with delivering of this, our third budget as a council. Thank you. Councillor O'Neill.
Thanks, Mayor. You've said it all. No.
No, I haven't.
Today I move the adoption of the 2026-27 budget with confidence that the Mayor and my fellow council colleagues have undertaken the development of this year's budget with the rigour needed to ensure we continue to work on delivering to our community the wants and needs of the entire region. Now, like every year, the list of things we want to do far outweighs our financial ability. We as a council have again looked at investing across the entire Maranoa, and I know we can proudly say we are supporting all of our communities. In 2024, we put a strategy in place to right, in my view, the poor economic decisions of the past to secure a strong financial future for our region. The rating strategy adopted by Council over the last 2 years has delivered a strong outcome for our community. This year, Council has been able to limit rate increases to 3.5% for residential and rural properties, 5% for commercial and industrial properties, and 10% for oil and gas and similar categories. Importantly, nearly 6,000 ratepayers, or around 90% of all rate assessments, will receive an increase below current CPI. Importantly, these measures have been achieved all while returning the budget to an operating surplus and maintaining the service levels our community has come to expect and need. By comparison, our small increase is very much against the trend we're seeing right across the state. Like the past 2 budget cycles, I'm very pleased the level of commitment in this chamber, not only in time allocated, but in applying the right fiscal lens to the budget considerations and working robustly at times as a council to deliver the third budget for the 2024-28 term of local government. I'm proud to be part of a council that is committed, as I am, to deliver on the things we say we are going to deliver. This year, we will see the completion of the $36 million Denise Spencer Aquatic Centre. The scale of this project is something in which we won't see in the Maranoa again for some time. We also begin the Police Paddock subdevelopment, a project more than a decade in the making and one that could potentially benefit the entire region's housing pressure with the right regional housing strategy and policy scheduled for drafting and adoption in the coming year. We are investing significantly in our parks and gardens across the region, with major upgrades planned for Seawright and Injune, which off the back of the Mitchell Park upgrades last term, Lions Park in Roma to be opened in the coming months, and the Yulbar Water Park, which opened last year, we are seeing real achievements in adding to our region's livability. The $300,000 contribution this budget will invest in Sculptures Outback with seeding and irrigation not only shows our council's commitment to this wonderful locally driven annual exhibition, but is another goal in achieving the beautification of our town's entrances. Key investments in our regional facilities is an exciting part of this year's budget. The much needed upgrades to the Mitchell Pool change rooms and kiosk will be welcomed by the Mitchell community and its users. The financial commitment of $300,000 towards the betting ring columns at Bassett Park are essential and will ensure that this facility remains functional for the many events that are hosted annually. My final two call-outs of investment in our community facilities are the funding for air conditioning for the Senior Sits building in Roma, which supports over 180 U3A members weekly, and the Make Good we are providing with the $285,000 going towards the Poultry Pavilion at Bassett Park, an over 50-year-old promise from a former Bungle Shire chair on the concreting of the pavilion. I'm also pleased to see the commitment this budget makes in investing in our road network, with approximately $40 million allocated, of which $18.9 million is capital investments. In closing, I want to say thank you to the Mayor and my fellow council colleagues, to Rob, to Cam and Brett and the entire Maranoa Regional Council team for the work that you do in drafting the budget. The effort is very much appreciated. Now, I'm supporting this budget because it is the right fiscally responsible budget that should come with no surprises to our community. Why? Because it's in line with the financial strategy we initiated in 2024, and one that I committed to the community in delivering. Delivering long-term financial sustainability is very much on track, as our community will see with our 10-year forecast, projecting surplus budgets through to 2035-36. This is a further step in achieving the long-term financial sustainability for the future generations that will live, work and raise their families like we all do right here in the Maranoa. I'm proud to move this year's budget for adoption and I commend it to the Chamber.
Thank you. Councillor Brompton.
Does anyone like to speak
Does
against
anyone
first?
want to speak against? Sorry. No? Up to you, Councillor Brompton.
Thank you. And I won't repeat again the good words that the Mayor and Councillor O'Neill have said. I'd sort of like to say I campaigned on financial sustainability and livability in particular, and I think this budget shows that as a council, those things are being met well and truly in this term. The financial sustainability is apparent through our return to a surplus budget being forecast. And as Councillor O'Neill articulated, the staying below CPI for our rural and residential customers. And I suppose I wanted to put that into context. For the average residential ratepayer, it's a $34 per annum increase in their rates. Now, for some it'll be more, some will be less. That's the average, just to make that clear. For the average commercial and industrial ratepayer, it's $156 per annum. For both of those categories, in the prior council, they had significant reductions of their rates and then rate freezes. Both of those categories are still paying less than what they were paying when that happened, even with the increases we've had in the last couple of years. So we looked at examples of the residentials reduced their rates by 25%. We looked at some examples in 23-24, that was $360 that they'd been reduced. They went up between $30 and $40 the last 3 years now. So they're still $240 approximately better off than they were back those years. So I think when you see what's happening in some other councils, I think we should be proud of that. The fact that even though we've made some hard decisions, we've looked after our ratepayers as best we can, and we're not seeing the great increases that some councils are seeing. And I think that the work that the ELT in particular has done around prosecuting our budget line by line and going through things is really to be commended. And I know there's been a lot of burning the midnight oil to get to this stage, and we've refined it over the last couple of years to this year where I think we're really comfortable about where we are. In terms of the livability, Councillor O'Neill's already talked about, obviously the Denise Spencer Aquatic Centre is a major thing. Our investment in my portfolio areas of parks and gardens, I know other councils will talk about their particular thing, but we're investing $1.5 million in parks and gardens across the region this year. And I think that's pretty major in terms of making sure our regional areas are continuing to have livability. And in my arts and culture portfolio, The Indian Museum, we're investing $65,000 towards their Stage 2 development, which I think is great for Injune to see something happening there for them. And the Sculptures Outback, I think after their 6 years of increases in visitor participation and to see the wonderful sculptures out there again, we are helping that committee out by investing some money in some long-term irrigation so that they can start beautifying that area to make it such a great area for our tourists. So I'm very supportive of the budget, and I know others will speak about their particular areas.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Davis.
Thank you. This budget is an easy one to vote in favour of, and it's nice that given that there's been no speaker against the motion that we may finally have a unanimous vote for the budget for the first time this term. The position we find ourselves in today did not happen by accident. Over the past 2 years, Council has made a number of difficult but necessary decisions. They were not always the easiest or the most popular, but they were made with the long-term interest of our community in mind. The result of this budget before us today, a surplus budget that allows us to invest more than $57 million into projects and infrastructure across the region while maintaining a strong financial position. We are not robbing Peter to pay Paul. We are not funding today's priorities at the expense of tomorrow's challenges. Instead, we are building stronger foundations that allow Council to continue to deliver services, renewing assets and investing in the future with confidence. This budget is also strategic in its approach. Many of the projects included in the next stage of work already underway, ensuring we continue to build on previous investments and deliver long-term benefits for our communities. We are also contributing over $3 million back into reserves for our commercial units of Council. Open communication is something I campaigned on, and I am pleased that this Council shares that commitment. Our pre-budget community forums were well attended and provided valuable insight into what the residents truly value. It is pleasing to see so many projects included in the budget that directly reflect what our communities told us they wanted. Projects such as the Muckadilla Playground and Toilet Facility upgrade, Mitchell Pool Kiosk and Change Room upgrade, the Mitchell Spa Master Plan, Roma Cultural Centre lighting upgrade, the Roma Dog Park agility equipment, the Yulbar Community Gym and the upgrades to parks and recreational facilities across the region are all examples of Council listening and responding to our community. One initiative that I'm particularly pleased to see included in the allocation is $250,000 towards Curb and Channel Renewal Program. While it may not be the most glamorous project in the budget, it represents something incredibly important, looking after the infrastructure we already have. Too often the focus is on new projects, but our communities also expect us to maintain and protect the assets that have served them for decades. This investment will improve stormwater management, help protect our road network from further deterioration, and reduce the risk of more costly repairs in the future. It is a practical example of responsible financial management and good governance. Council will continue to support community groups through grants and sponsorships, helping deliver events and initiatives that strengthen community connections across the region. Council is also continuing to support the capability and capacity building of our business community with the continued funding and involvement with the Business Excellence Program and the Maranoa Business Awards. This budget reflects careful planning, responsible decision-making and a clear vision for the future. It invests in our communities, our infrastructure and our region's long-term sustainability while maintaining a strong financial position. I also commend this budget and thank everyone involved in its preparation.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Hancock.
I'm pleased to support the adoption of the 2026-27 budget. This budget continues to deliver on the commitments we made to the community: financial sustainability, transparency, responsible governance and investment in our region. When developing this budget, Council has carefully balanced the cost of living pressures facing our residents with the increasing cost of doing business pressures faced by Council. We believe we have achieved a fair and reasonable outcome. The rates increase equates to less than a cost of a takeaway coffee per week across our residential, rural and commercial and industry categories. Likewise, fees and charges have increased by approximately 3.2%, reflecting the rising costs of delivering services while remaining mindful of affordability for our community. One of the most pleasing aspects of this budget is that it positions council to move from the deficit budget inherited from the previous council to a small surplus position. This is a significant achievement and demonstrates our commitment to long-term financial sustainability. More importantly, it sends a strong message to our community that we are building a council that is financially responsible and sustainable, not only for today, but for future generations. This budget contains an exciting and diverse capital works program that delivers investment across the breadth of council operations and throughout our region. It includes projects that strengthen critical infrastructure, improve community facilities, supports economic growth and enhance livability for our residents. From my portfolio areas, I'm particularly pleased to see investment in our quarry operations through the purchase of a new loader. This investment will improve operational efficiency. Economic development is reflected through this budget, whether it is critical infrastructure projects, housing solution initiatives, tourism investments, parks and gardens upgrades, road improvements in both rural and urban areas, playground upgrades or community facility improvements. We also continue to invest in our youth with major community infrastructure projects at recreation grounds in both Injune and Seawright. These projects all contribute to creating stronger, more vibrant communities and supporting local economic growth. Under my events portfolio, I'm pleased to see the continued investment in events that bring our communities together and showcase our region. This includes ongoing support for signature events such as Easter in the Country, as well as the continuation of Council's Community Grants Program and Events Grants Program. Council also continues to provide substantial in-kind support to community organisations and events across the region. We are continuing to invest in important community initiatives, including school holiday programs, Seniors Weeks, Volunteer Week, and Small Business Week. We also continue our commitment to the Business Excellence Program, including the Maranoa Business Awards, which recognise and celebrate the achievements of our local businesses. Importantly, this budget invests not only in our larger regional centres, but also in our smaller communities. We're delivering projects such as gravel resheeting works and an additional water tank for the Tealbar community, and playground upgrades in Muckadilla, to name a couple. These projects demonstrate that every community matters and that Council remains committed to delivering benefits right across the Maranoa region. Before concluding, I'd like to acknowledge and sincerely thank my fellow councillors, our CEO Rob, Deputy CEO Cam, Director Brett, Director Jamie and Director Seamus, and all staff involved in the preparation of this budget. Developing a budget of this scale requires an enormous amount of work, planning, analysis and consultation, and yes, hundreds of questions from us councillors. I particularly appreciate the detailed level of information provided to councillors throughout this process, which has enabled us to make fully informed decisions on behalf of our communities. This budget reflects responsible leadership, careful financial management, and a clear vision for the future of our region. It invests in our infrastructure, supports our communities, strengthens our economy, and positions Council on a sustainable financial path. I look forward to seeing these projects delivered in the communities over the next financial year and see the positive outcomes that they will bring for our residents and generations to come.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Vincent.
Thank you, Mayor Taylor. This budget remains on track with what we promised when we delivered the first budget of this term. World events could easily affect our forward predictions, and cost-wise we have already seen some service delivery impacts, but we will work with these. In a cost of living crisis, for the want of a better term, we forewarned that this year's rates would rise by CPI for rural and residential. And when budgets are tight all over the community, I believe it is important that we have stayed true with what we ask the ratepayer to budget for. My focus, and many who sit at this table, is on financial sustainability, core service delivery, community vitality and strong local business. This budget epitomises this. From a portfolio perspective, the Waste team continue to address the last of the issues in the EPO, including $1.65 million on waste facility compliance through rehabilitation and leachate control at Wallumbilla, Mitchell and Roma. Urban streets and footpaths have a $2.8 million allocated for annual regional reseal, renewal and upgrade projects, with major projects highlighted for Browns Lane sealing, Alexander Avenue extension and seal in Roma, widen the bitumen to the curb for Alexander Street in Seawright, and pedestrian safety repairs to Dublin Street in Mitchell, with shared pathway designs for the Big Rig to Lake Neverfill and a Dungadoo to Roma touch ovals. With tourism being a major economic driver for our region, we have significant investment going into the Big Rig for the 25th anniversary projects, Inju Museum and the Mitchell Museum, along with continued upgrades of signage around our region. This budget, following on from the last year's budget to commit significant funds to our regional facilities to uplift the vitality of our communities and to increase usability of some very important assets for our towns. Within the budget, there is commitments in Injune and Seawright to redevelop Nason and Guida Laycock Park, along with Mitchell Pool, Yulbar Gym and air conditioning of the Senior Citizens Building here in Roma. I just wanted to acknowledge the additional advocacy and consultation done by community members for these projects. And for an example, Councillor Davis organising us to go out to Mitchell to have a look at the Mitchell Pool to ensure we get a full viewing of what is the requirements around our region. To the Yulbar community for highlighting the gym option and the availability of a co-contribution, and the Injune community for not only advocating for a very overdue upgrade need, but coming to the table with a significant cash contribution and grant application for an area of the park that they are passionate about completing. And Council commits $100,000 to support the Injune Collective Games On funding application if they are successful through the expression of interest process for the BMX track through the Guida Laycock redevelopment. Council has had great success in partnering with other levels of government when true partnerships occur, and I wish to highlight those efforts of those community groups who do the same when they come to us. I thank my fellow councillors for everything you bring to the table, and to the staff, in particular CEO Rob, Director Brett, Jamie, Seamus and all the team who work hard, and I commend the budget for adoption today so we can continue to work hard for our community.
Thank you, Councillor. Anyone else like to speak? Councillor Burkett.
Thanks, Mayor. For the first time this term, I will be supporting this year's budget as it's in line with what I stood for in the 24 election. The cost of living pressures that our ratepayers are enduring with fuel prices, etc., the uncertainty, we need to try to give them a balance and some respite. I would like to give a massive congratulations to CEO Rob, Deputy CEO Cam, Directors Brett, Seamus and Jamie, and all of their team for getting this budget to where it is. I know it is very hard to try to juggle and balance things to please everyone. Budgets are an estimate. They are a live document that are forever evolving throughout the year. Things that dictate this is the weather, fluctuation of supply pricing, availability of contractors, staffing issues. These are numerous things that can change things. Last term it was COVID. This term we've seen the cost of living skyrocket and the conflict overseas bringing up fuel costs, which also in turn affect things like the reseal programs. Getting projects to fruition from these budgets aren't always clear cut, and we are constantly having to carry over projects from previous years. Local governments rely heavily on grant funding, whether it's through state or federal or even through oil and gas, and council would not be able to operate without this funding. It gets a bit confusing when we don't allow for certain funding, as roads are damaged with severe weather events, and without this funding we will be unable to repair them. When we receive flood money, it's usually used correctly by programming our maintenance in tandem with flood work. We save by not only having to mobilise our machinery less than we needed to, plus we can also potentially get more roads done. So it's imperative that we get this funding to operate an extensive road network to the standard that the community not only need, but are entitled to run their business. We were presented with a massive amount of projects from staff, councillors and community. Unfortunately, we can not bring all of them to fruition. So some of the lucky ones are, which have been spoken about, is obviously the Roma Denise Spencer Aquatic Centre and the police paddock are once-in-generation projects which will improve the livability in our region. The Injune Pool design, a starting point to future improvements to this facility. Bring a Heritage Museum floor upgrade, working in partnership with the group to save money. Ulaba Community Gym to bring them up to other areas who have this vital infrastructure. The Bassett Park Poultry Pavilion, one gentleman in town will be very happy with this, and will definitely be welcomed by the Show Society. The Mitchell War Memorial Pool upgrade, which will upgrade the change room from the 1950s and modern times and bring back privacy with cubicles, which definitely be welcomed by teachers. Great Artesian Spa Master Plan, one of our key tourist attractions. This is exciting times. There's not too much has changed in that facility since it was built in '98. Two projects that will definitely be welcomed by my area in the construction of Jerry's Crossing on the Mount Owen Road and the Hogan-Thaler Forest Vale, which is the Forest Vale Redford Road to most. The intersection construction. Both these projects will improve safety and immunity, allowing safe transport of stock out of the north. In my area portfolios, Wallumbilla Sewerage System Design, a must-needed project in that area for sure. The Amby Water Treatment Plant upgrades. Mungalala Bore Reservoir interconnection, a project that will remedy historical water issues. Stage 2 of the Surat Clarifier upgrades. In my youth portfolio, which these have definitely been spoken about, and it's a passion of everyone in this room, is the park upgrades in all our towns, Injune, Muckadilla, Lions Park, and also things like the Roman netball courts resurfaced, to name a few. On top of these, there are numerous carryover projects that will also be carried out this year, all things going well. So once again, I thank all staff and my fellow councillors.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Flynn.
Yep, I'd just like to support this budget and mention a few things, in particular my area of sport and rec and I guess the wellbeing of our community. Again, mentioning the completion of the Denise Spencer Aquatic Centre and the expenditure of $14.4 million to conclude that project in December this year on time and on budget. And the other projects that have been listed in our budget with regard to the sport and recreation area. I'm particularly pleased that the officer's role of sport and rec remains in the budget, and the last 12 months in this area have been a breath of fresh air given the support of the staff that have been involved. In 2017, the last of our sport and rec strategic plan was finalised in 2026. The draft for the strategic plan for our future is going to be a highlight of this area of my portfolio. I touch on the area of planning with regard not to so much to the budget situation that we have now, but to compliment the staff on the way they have worked diligently, sometimes under a massive amount of pressure in an area where you can't always be everything to everyone. When we took over this portfolio, there was over 70 projects outstanding with DAs and the other queries. At the moment, that sits at 30. That is a compliment to the staff of the Maranoa Regional Council planning area to get that to that particular level. Two projects that I would like to mention that have possibly been mentioned before. The area of Browns Lane, there's $160,000 in the budget to upgrade that. I vividly remember walking from St John's to the high school oval back many, many years ago. I'm pretty sure the road then was better than the condition it's in now. So I compliment that particular part of the budget. The other one with external partnership is the Ulaba Community Gym, and that particular funding of $130,000 will complement the skate park and water play park for the young people of the Ulaba community. It would be remiss of me not to mention the Roma sale yards and also the fact that we are going back to individual reserves for our particular areas there. I think it was a mistake of a previous council to put all those reserves together, and I'm sure the success of the Roma sale yards will continue given the fact that we're going through a massive time as far as the prices being paid for cattle at the moment through our sale yards, and I compliment the master plan that will herald the future of the 10 years of our Roma sale yards. I also promised back in 2024 to keep monitoring on the restricted and unrestricted cash levels of this budget and all our budgets. I continue to make that promise and ask questions about that particular matter. The other one I would like to mention is the fact that we, as a sport and rec area, have gone out and asked clubs and given support to clubs to apply for external grants. I think the number of external grants that have come through from government in the last week is a testament to that, and I thank the staff and thank the clubs for the way they've reacted to that, and hopefully in the future it will see their facilities and their opportunities for their participants to continue to grow. Thanks very much to all the staff, and I, as I said, support the budget this year.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Seawright.
I'd like to speak in support of the 26-27 budget. It always amazes me how we can spend months and months of hard work and everything comes down to probably an hour and a half in the chambers for the for and against. But in saying it, in the lead up, we've pulled apart pretty much everything as we do every year. We've reviewed our fees, we've reviewed our charges, we've reviewed our rates, and we've made decisions that I feel are very sound on financial sustainability. We've looked at how we can improve and continue our level of service to our ratepayers without increasing our costs. It's a brilliant thing for our communities. We've produced what I feel is actually a fair and equitable budget in regards to capital projects. It's one that we can actually probably put our hands on our hearts and say that we will actually very closely complete what we say we're going to complete. There's nothing like disappointing years gone by in previous years when I wasn't in council, hearing about projects and some of them are still yet to be completed. So for us to deliver a capital project list that we can actually complete in a financial year, we do have to reduce the scope of those wishes and dreams and some of that those pretty things. And it just comes back to looking what's on our list. And I'm really happy to say that when you do look down through the list, probably 90% of it is actually asset maintenance. That was one of the biggest things I saw coming into council was our asset maintenance probably wasn't where it needed to be. So I'm actually really excited this year to see that most of our items, while there's some big new shiny items like the Roma pool, that's still asset maintenance. So at the end of the day, when you look through, you can just about pick out every little thing and say there is some, good projects coming, some still really exciting projects coming to our communities, but it is one of asset maintenance and it is one of sensibility. Just to call out, we're tipping over $2 million into parks and gardens, both regionally and local to Roma, but that's in, upgrades. So again, it just comes back to, stuff that we're moving with the times, we're supporting our communities and we're improving our livability. The Yulbar Community Gym, again, that's, in regards, it's a nice new shiny project, but it comes back to we're actually utilising a building that the council already owns, improving some of the maintenance or the asset itself that it hasn't been used in quite a number of years, and we've found something else that we can do with it. So in regards to everything for the budget, I'm really say thanks to our staff and the fellow councillors for all the input, all the wonderful debates we've had on this, and I can't wait to see what the budget will bring for us this year and the completion of all the projects.
Thank you, Councillor. Would you like to sum up, Councillor?
Thanks very much, Mayor, and I'm so pleased that we're now at the point in which we'll vote on the budget, and you never know until the last person speaks whether it's going to be a unanimous decision, and I think that is a testament to the work that has gone into the development of this year's budget. That there has been again that fiscal lens applied that sets our region up for the future. And whilst I take the observation from Councillor Seawright that it all accumulates into an an hour and a half of us speaking, I do want to again acknowledge the last 6 months of very solid contribution, not only from my colleagues here, but for the work that goes on in the background to get any local government, and ours is the one that we're adopting today. Of course, this council's adopting their budget, but all councils put a solid effort in that first 6 months to get to a point where they bring down a budget that they hope delivers really good outcomes for the community in which we represent. There's two projects I just want to highlight that haven't been touched on, unless I missed hearing the Mayor. The commitment to the big rig to Lake Neverfill Shared Pathway design is a passion project, I know, for you, Mayor Taylor, and one that is fully supported by this council, opening up what could be a really special, investment not only into tourism but to health and wellbeing of our community, and tying in what historically and emotionally has been a much loved park area for our region for generations. It's the last term and this term we've seen that investment turned it into something special again. And if we can get to a point in this corporate plan, which we're adopting for 10 years, to be able to invest in that connection, I think that will be an amazing achievement that falls out of the corporate plan in which we have adopted today. And it starts with this budget, with the investment of a contribution into that design. Equally, I do want to call out as well that we are going to celebrate 25 years of the big rig next year. A major tourism asset for our region. We've got a lot of them, but to reach 25 years and mark that with a solid investment of $1 million into anniversary upgrades, I think will illustrate to our community the commitment that we have and we share from the councillors that are still up on the wall somewhere from the Roma Town Council days that made that decision to invest in what has turned out to be an amazing asset for our region and a draw card to showcase different elements that make up the Maranoa. So I just wanted to call that out as well. All of that together means we've got a really good budget to deliver for our community, and I want to acknowledge and share my appreciation for the comments from all in the chamber today of how committed you are to achieving some really good things for our Maranoa community. I commend the motion.
Thank you. With that, we'll go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. Good job. 3.5, differential general rating categories and description 2026-27. Councillor Brompton.
I move that pursuant to Section 81 of the Local Government Regulation 2012 and the provisions of Council's 2026-27 revenue statement, the categories into which rateable land is categorised, the description of these categories, and pursuant to Section 81.4 and 81.5 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, the method by which land is to be identified and included in its appropriate category is as follows, as per the table, 1 to 83, and then 2, delegate to the Chief Executive Officer the power, pursuant to Sections 81.4 and 81.5 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, to identify the rating category to which each parcel of rateable land belongs.
Seconder. Councillor Seawright. Would you like to speak, Councillor?
Just a small thing. This is a technicality under the Act that we have to adopt each year. I don't think there's any need to speak to it. It speaks for itself. Thank you.
Anyone else like to speak? Let's go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. 3.6, declaration of differential general rates 2026-27. Do I have a mover? Councillor O'Neill.
I move that pursuant to Section 94 of the Local Government Act 2009, Section 80 of the Local Government Regulation 2012 and the provisions of Council's 2026-27 revenue statement, the differential general rate to be made and levied for each differential general rate category, and pursuant to Section 77 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, the minimum general rate to be made and levied for each differential general rate category is as per below.
Have a seconder? Councillor Davis, would you like to speak, councillor?
No, thank you.
Anyone like to speak? Let's go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. 3.7, levy and payment of rate charges 2026-27. Do I have a mover? Councillor Vincent.
I move that 1, pursuant to section 107 of the Local Government Regulation 2012 and section 114 of the Fire Emergency Services Act 1990, council rates and charges and the state government's emergency management fire and rescue levy be levied for the half year 1st of July 2026 to 31st of December 2026 in August, September 2026, and for the half year 1st of January 2027 to the 30th of June 2027 in February, March 2027. 2, pursuant to section 118 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, the council's rates and charges and the state government's emergency management fire and rescue levy be payable within 30 clear calendar days after the issue of the rate notice.
Have a seconder? Councillor Hancock. Would you like to speak, councillor?
No, thank you.
Anyone like to speak? Let's go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. 3.8, discount on prompt payment of rates 2026-27. Councillor Burkett.
I'd like to move that pursuant to section 130 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, the differential general rates made and levied shall be subject to discount on the differential rate of 5% if paid within the discount period no less than 30 days after the date of issue of the rate notice provided that A, all the before mentioned rates and charges are paid on or before the due date appearing on the rates notice. B, all other rates and charges appearing on the rate notice that are not subject to a discount are paid on or before the due date appearing on the rate notice. And C, all other overdue rates and charges relating to the rateable assessment, including interest thereon to the date of payment, are paid on or before the due date appearing on the rate notice.
Seconder? Vincent, would you like to speak, councillor?
No, thanks.
Anyone like to speak? Let's go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. 3.9, interest on overdue rates and charges 2026-27. Councillor Brompton.
I move that pursuant to section 133 of the Local Government Regulation 2012 and the provisions of Council's 2026-27 revenue statement, compound interest on daily rests at the rate of 12.9% per annum is to be charged on all overdue rates or charges. Comment interest on daily, should that be rates? That's the right wording, rests.
Oh, yes,
Compound on daily
They deserve a rest.
rests.
It is the term they use, yes.
Interest on daily rests at the rate. It rests
Yeah.
at the rate.
Comprehensive on
Comma,
daily. It's
Comma.
got to be daily.
It's the correct term.
Okay.
Yeah. It's an old term.
Okay.
Should there be a comma? No.
Rests at the
Seconded by
rate.
councillor Davis.
That's-
You all good?
It doesn't. It's got to be on daily amounts due or on daily something. Compound interest on daily rests at.
The rest's not the usual word like you would.
No, but it's on daily what?
Well, rest is it's the amount that's owed. It's an old term. It's in the regulations. That's the term they use in the regulation.
Okay.
It's an odd term. I understand.
I
think legal speak.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean like rest as in like lays with. Like
Yeah.
It's actually, as Brett says.
Oh, kindly given to me there. The term daily rests typically means the required uninterrupted break period between two work shifts. It's an interesting term. I don't know, they're really useful. But in essence, it means the amount of money that sits in the on the account that's owed every day, and so it works on the day. So the daily value at the end of every day, it compounds the interest. So essentially, what it's doing is every day there's money owed. It applies a small percentage of that 12.19%, and it grows every single day. It's compound rest. So it's just a term that's unfortunately that's just used in the regs. It probably doesn't make a lot of sense from an English from a current English perspective. That's the term.
We believe you.
I can see it in. It's
Brett,
actually
is
in
that
section
the exact
130.
same resolution that was moved
Every year.
last
Yep,
year.
exactly the same.
In you we trust.
Thank you, Councillor.
Would you like to speak, councillor?
No, just to say I've qualified that. It's the actual section of the Act is there and that wording is right there in front of us within the document, so happy with that.
Do you want to speak to the motion? You're right. Anybody want to speak? Let's go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. 3.10, Special Rate Pest Management 2026-27. Councillor Seawright.
I move that pursuant to the Section 94 of the Local Government Act 2009, Section 94 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, and the provisions of Council's 2026-27 Revenue Statement, Council make and levy a special rate to be known as the Pest Management Special Rate of 0.0001794 cents in the dollar on the unimproved capital value of all rateable land to which the overall plan applies, to fund the cost of pest management, including pest animals and pest plants across the Maranoa.
Seconded. Councillor Brompton, would you like to speak, Councillor?
Yes, just briefly, thanks, Mayor. Basically, it is what it says it is. So the pest management special rate is to fund the cost of pest management, including pest animals and pest plants across the Maranoa. This includes meat and factory baits for 2 coordinated baiting program and ad hoc baiting, the wild dogs bonus payment for scalps, and treatment of high priority pest plants across the Maranoa.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak? Let's go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. 3.11, Special Rate State Government Precinct 2026-27. Councillor Seawright.
I move that pursuant to Section 94 of the Local Government Act 2009, Section 94 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, and the provisions of Council's 2026-27 Revenue Statement, Council make and levy a special rate to be known as the State Government Precept Special Rate of 0.000104 cents in the dollar on the unimproved capital value of all rateable land to which the overall plan applies, to fund the cost of the State Government Precept Charge and State Government Precept Charge research and on-ground works.
Thank you. Seconder. Councillor Vincent, would you like to speak, Councillor?
Yes, thanks again, Mayor. The purpose of this special rate is basically just to fund the cost of the state government precept charge, the wild dog barrier fence, which is where most of it is taken up. And that's pretty much it, really.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak? Let's go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. 3.12, Rural Fire Brigade Special Charge 2026-27. Do I have a mover? Councillor Brompton.
I move that, 1, pursuant to Section 94 of the Local Government Act 2009 and Section 94 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, Council make and levy a special charge to be known as the Rural Fire Brigade Special Charge, as detailed in the table below, on all rateable land serviced by the Rural Fire Brigades for Amby, Mungalala, Yulbar and Orange Hill, to contribute to the operational costs of the firefighting and the ongoing provision and maintenance of rural firefighting equipment for the Rural Fire Brigades as per below table. 2, do I need to? No, table's fine. 2, the overall plan for the Rural Fire Brigade Special Charge is as follows. A, the service, facility or activity for which the plan is made is to contribute to the operational costs of firefighting and the ongoing provision and maintenance of rural firefighting equipment for the rural fire brigades that operate throughout the areas of Amby, Mungalala, Yulbar and Orange Hill. B, the rateable land to which the plan applies is all rateable land defined by Queensland Fire Department, QFD, Rural Fire Service as being serviced within each fire brigade boundary as identified in the QFD administrative map for each brigade. C, the estimated cost of carrying out the overall plan is $20,568. D, the estimated time for carrying out the overall plan is 1 year, $20,568. Is that all right? D, the estimated time for carrying out the overall plan is 1 year. 3, the rateable land or its occupier specially benefit from the service, facility or activity funded by the special charge because these local rural fire brigade units respond to emergency fire calls.
Seconded by Councillor Burkett. Would you like to speak, Councillor?
This is something that happens every year. It's the setting of the charge is required to raise revenue to cover the cost of contributing to those operational costs. The rural fire brigades provide input into the amount and we on charge that through the rates.
Anyone else like to speak? Let's go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. 3.13, sewage utility charges 2026-27. Councillor Burkett.
I'd like to move that pursuant to Section 94 of the Local Government Act 2009 and Section 99 of the Local Government Regulation 2012 and the provisions of Council's 2026-27 revenue statement, Council makes the levy sewage utility charges for the supply of sewage services by Council as set out in table below.
Have a seconder? Councillor Vincent, would you like to speak, Councillor?
Just to say, this report's to set the sewage utility charges for the financial year to raise revenue to undertake the services needed.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak? Let's go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. 3.14, water utility charges 2026-27.
Oh, no, sorry, John, sorry.
Councillor Burkett.
Might start with W, but
Councillor Burkett.
I'd like to move that Council, 1, pursuant to Section 94 of the Local Government Act 2009 and Section 99 of the Local Government Regulation 2012 and the provisions for Council's 2026-27 revenue statement, Council makes the levy water utility charges for the supply of water services by Council as set out in the tables below.
Seconded by Councillor Hancock. Would you like to speak, Councillor?
Yeah, just once again, just to say that this is to raise money to undertake the services needed to keep our water infrastructure on point.
Anyone else like to speak? Let's go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. 3.15, waste management utility charges 26-27. Starts with W. Councillor Vincent.
Thank you. I'd like to move that 1, pursuant to Section 94 of the Local Government Act 2009, Section 99 of the Local Government Regulation 2012 and pursuant to the provisions of the 2026-27 revenue statement, Council make and levy waste management utility charges for the supply of waste management services, including the collection, removal, storage and disposal of general waste by the Council as set out in the table below.
Seconder, Councillor Burkett. Would you like to speak, Councillor?
I would like to speak. This does the same as the other rates. It is to recover the costs of providing the service of collecting wheelie bins. I'm not sure if you're going to speak at all, Mayor Taylor.
No.
No.
You're right.
So just
I could.
you could.
You can.
So just wanted to highlight something new on the waste collection services this year, as Mayor Taylor has advocated hard for non-residential properties to have the opportunity to opt out of the wheelie bin service if they fit the eligibility criteria for exemption. So that's something new for the waste management utility charge this year. So just wanted to highlight that change.
Thank you. And they can opt out if they have a commercial bin, like a, what do we call them?
Skip.
Skip bin, something like that, yeah. It's only taken me 6 years, so feeling very good. Anyone else like to speak? Let's go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. 3.6, significant business activities and the Code of Competitive Conduct 2026-27. Councillor O'Neill.
I'll move that Council 1 notes that for the 2026-27 financial year, Council will not conduct any significant business activity. 2, resolves for the 2026-27 financial year that under Section 47(8) of the Local Government Act 2009, the Code of Competitive Conduct will not apply to the following business activities of Council for the reasoning that the business activities are both below the prescribed thresholds and are primarily conducted as a non-competitive community service, and the costs of applying competition reforms to these activities outweigh any reasonable benefits. Building certifying activity, quarry operations, sale yards operations, waste management, airport operations, water and sewerage services, gas operations and cemetery services.
Excuse me, Councillor O'Neill, you said reasonable benefits instead of realisable benefits?
Sorry, any realisable benefits.
Seconder. Councillor Hancock, would you like to speak, Councillor?
No, thank you.
Would anyone like to speak? Let's go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. That's the end of that. As I close this, our third special budget meeting, can I say how thankful I am to you, the councillors, The work and the hours of commitment you have done for this budget is just unbelievable. We worked really hard and it shows in what we've tabled today. So from me, thank you for each and every day that you show up for your community. And on that note, I will close the special meeting at 10:26 and say thank you for your commitment. Thank you, everybody.